Welcome back, Red Spotters. Another show here on the Red Spotlight Entertainment Podcast where we discuss movies, and movies. That's all we do here. And with no exception in this episode, we have David Francisco coming back with us today. How are you doing, David?
Very good.
Yeah? Okay. That's good. Everybody else is dying, but it's good to know that you're doing okay.
Yeah.
Now, of course, kidding, obviously, but, David is actually one of the essential workers, as it were, and so he's still employed. How's that been like for you?
It's good. Things are starting to calm down at my store. The beginning of this, it was just empty aisles on almost all the aisles.
Wasn't that crazy, man? I know, like, thank goodness things have calmed down since then as far as, like, the groceries, but, like, holy fuck, that was the closest I think any of us have been to, like, being in an actual movie or feeling like we're in an actual movie, because it's like it was frightening to see so many things just like completely empty shelves.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No, that's what I kept thinking every time I went in, just like, yo, this is exactly like what you see in the apocalyptic movie, like the stores. It's exactly how you see it in the movie, and it was insane. And most of the things that we're still running out of is just cleaning supplies. Like, everyone keeps asking me, do you have Clorox wipes? Do you have bleach? Are you out of toilet paper? That's the only thing customers keep asking me, if we have any.
No, man, I gotta tell you, it really got to me the first initial trips, in that first week especially, when everybody was just like going berserk. It got to me. It was like, holy fuck, am I witnessing the end of civilization? Like, I mean, you just think these things because that's what you come to expect when you see them in the movies, and then when it starts happening in real life, you get a little scared. So it was like, it was scary for a while there. But I mean, and the virus is only, the outbreak is still very much in the early days of it, or no one's expecting to go back to normal anytime soon. And unfortunately, we have more and more people that are dying. The last podcast that I did with Alexis and with Peter, we were thinking that by the time that was uploaded, it would be 30,000 dead. By the time this is uploaded, maybe even 45,000 dead. It's only skyrocketing, so it is a dangerous time. And so if you're listening to this, as always, stay home. Please stay home. Don't endanger yourselves. Don't endanger anybody else. It's just disheartening again. With, when we do these shows now, and we're going to update on, what's going on in our lives and how we're doing. We also want to comment on things that we see that enrage us. Like, I was seeing today that there were Trump supporters who were protesting in Michigan. They were protesting the fact that they had to stay home. I'm not going to go any more than that. I think that you really, that doesn't need to be explained why that's just horrendous and disheartening. But yeah, I mean, we just got to be here. We got to keep doing these shows and keep ourselves, moving. We got to keep going. We got to live in however we can. And so and as regard to the groceries, it is encouraging that, that stuff has mostly calmed down as far as supplies being available. I'm seeing even places in LA beginning to have toilet paper again. So it's like, it's mainly the disinfected wipes, the gloves, all that stuff is, that's really hard to get right now.
But also some people have been saying, like, go to any like family owned stores, any just small business stores, because it's always the big ones that are running out of stuff. Right. But also just, you don't have to get big meals for I mean, I know there's some families that are just, there's huge families out there that need a lot of food, but I during that time when I got really bad, all I kept seeing was fruits left alone, some snack bars left alone. Buy those kind of stuff, even just so you can save some food. Yeah,
it was people were panic buying. Let's just be real about that. And that was a real scary time.
Yeah.
That was a real scary time, and I'm glad in some ways part of that is behind us. again, acknowledging that there is still a very long road ahead. Today's show is actually going to be a slight continuation to what we had been doing with our Top 10 of the Decade series with, our panelists Alexis Moreno, Kyle Lira, and Peter Martinez, and of course myself. We have literally, it was too much that we had to fill 2 episodes with it. I don't know what it was that either of us were, I don't know. We had recorded the first part with the intention of it being just one big episode. And I think the expectation was that it would be 3 hours because that's usually where it goes.
Yeah.
If you combine the 2-part episodes, I think it can easily add up to 5 hours, 4.5 to 5 hours. So it's just, it was crazy to have even thought of doing it. But hopefully today that won't be the case. David's going to get his chance to talk about the movies that he liked most in the 2010s, again from 2010 to 2019, as well as some honorable mentions. But before that, as we want to start doing every single podcast now, is we want to update people on what films we've been getting reacquainted with, maybe films that we haven't seen for a long time, maybe some films that we just watch or TV shows. So David, I go to you first. What have you been watching to keep yourself busy or entertained in this quarantine?
I've been binge watching a show called Eureka. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It was I think it was a sci-fi show. Came out like before 2010. I'm not sure exact date.
Okay.
Yeah, and when I first saw it, I loved it. It's about this guy who goes into this town named Eureka, and he finds out that all the best scientists in the world live there, and they try to make weapons for the government, but also just try to make some revolutionary machines that can help better the world. And when he stumbled upon it, afterwards when he left, he became sheriff of the town to keep the town safe. Yeah, it's really cool. I like the science of it. The characters are nice. Rewatching it, the first 3 seasons, I think, there wasn't really a lot of stakes going on. It wasn't really a lot of intensity going on. But again, I do love the way they explain the science of it, science parts. And it's just fun. If you like that whole kind of like a villain of the week type of thing, that's what it is.
And as I've mentioned in previous recordings, I've been keeping myself busy with, just diving into the works of Spielberg. And actually, at the date of this recording, I had just the night before had reacquainted myself with Close Encounters of the Third Kind. And this was a movie that I liked a lot when I first saw it, but in the pantheon of Spielberg movies, it really wasn't my favorite or close to it. It was kind of bottom tier for me, if I'm going to be honest with you. Not because it wasn't a great movie, because it just didn't have that resonance with me. And that might have been because of the lead character is a little difficult to care about, in the sense that he kind of abandons his family, and so there's been Richard Dreyfuss, who plays who's been in Jaws and Always, other Spielberg films, plays the our main lead here in the movie. But when I saw it again last night, I saw this movie in a completely different light, like almost entirely. I came into the film kind of reluctantly, rewatching it, and I came out of the movie just swept away by its absolute brilliance. And maybe it's just that it's really hitting me now for the first time, but holy fuck, I completely did not, I feel, appreciate Richard Dreyfuss's performance or the character and what he's going through enough the first time. And then even more so, because it is, this movie about, 2 great civilizations meeting. It's almost what you wish would have happened when Christopher Columbus or whoever was the first settler to come to the new world, as it were. And only in this case, they don't extinguish the Native Americans. The first encounter with alien life, and there was something just quite moving about that movie, and I mean emotionally moving, especially toward the end of it, when first contact is established, and then also just the sheer awe and scale of that mothership, especially. I've just gained a newfound appreciation for that movie. It is outstanding. And it was interesting because I was watching one of the behind the scenes features, and Spielberg had said that one movie that he considers to share some kind of a relationship with is the Denis Villeneuve movie Arrival from 2016, in terms of its approach with language and contact and such. So I think that might be an interesting double feature, and I might just watch Arrival tonight just to see how good of a double feature it is. So, so that being said, David, I want to ask you before we even get into your list, what did you make of, the 2 episodes with everyone else, as far as, the lists themselves, the movies, whether or not certain people surprised you with what was picked and what wasn't picked, maybe I want to get your thoughts on those things.
My sister surprised me the most, actually, just because. I mean, I really had no idea what she was going to pick, but I didn't think it was going to be movies that I recommended to her. She chose Lincoln. I think, I don't know. I don't remember if it was honorable mention or in the list, but I remember she said Lincoln, and I can't remember another one. She actually says that I recommended it to her, but I don't remember which one.
There was Spotlight that she chose.
Yes,
Whiplash.
that one. Yes, that one. It was that one. I didn't think she was going to choose that one at all, but yeah, it was cool. I like that. The rest of you guys, I saw some of them coming, at least for The Last Jedi. Yeah, but yeah, it was a cool list for all of you.
Yeah, I definitely do think that Alexis's list was the most surprising and also interesting, because it's not that she's not, maybe it is that she just hasn't been on a non-Disney podcast in years. And what I mean by that, I mean I don't remember the last time that Alexis Moreno was on Red Spotlight where we focused on issues that weren't Disney.
Yeah.
I'm talking about maybe Game of Thrones. I'm talking about maybe something like Harry Potter, or maybe even the DC movies that we were reviewing years and years ago. Yeah. But and because she's so invested in Fantasy Fair and Disney, so it is, I think, in some ways surprising, almost because we don't have the opportunity as much to really get into films beyond just Disney. So she really, I think, had a well-rounded list, and she had some great fucking movies on there. All those that were just mentioned. Amazing movies.
Yeah. No, I mean, I know she'll watch any movie that I'm really saying she'll watch anything. I remember we saw Mandy last year. That was the one with Nicolas Cage. That was gotta be the weirdest movie I've ever seen.
I heard of that, yeah.
And I mean, I don't think she liked it, but she was definitely interested in it. The whole.
Well, didn't it have Nicolas Cage?
Well, it did have Nicolas Cage. So
and isn't that her boyfriend?
Yeah,
it's amazing. We were just recording Knives Out audio commentary, and we all know how crazy Kyle is about Daniel Craig. We all know how crazy I am about Chris Evans. Imagine if that movie had Nick Cage. It would just it would be too much. It really would be for all of us.
Yeah, but even though she's interested in all types of movies, I think you can tell which ones for sure would be her favorite. And that would be Disney, or just some kind of what I thought would be some happy feel good movies. But then she put Spotlight and Lincoln, and she's saying these ones get me mad the most.
Well, yeah, that was. I mean, anger is a motivator.
Yes.
It is an emotion that's not necessarily one that people want to get out of watching a movie, but that's why movies are so special. Is because it's not just something to make you feel good about yourself or laugh. They can be for a number of different things that you can experience, which is why I think they're everlasting, and why even no movie is ever the same the first time. I just talked about Close Encounters. The first time I saw the movie, I was like, okay. And then I saw it again. I'm like, oh my God, what a movie. Like,
yeah.
It never sits still, I think. Movies never are in this like contained space where like, oh, this is what this is and it's never going to be anything else. It's not the case at all. So, with that being said, let's go into 2010. Talk about 2010. You got any honorable mentions?
Yes, just one. Toy Story 3. It's my honorable mention. I mean, it's just one. I think it's one of the best ones in the trilogy.
Quadrilogy now,
or
the
series. Yeah, in the series. Yeah.
Yeah, it's different now. Yeah.
Yeah. And I never loved an ending so much from anything, I think. Oh, besides The Good Place. But in terms of movies, I guess this one's the one I love the most. And it was really entertaining watching the movie with my cousins. I saw it with them at one point, and we just had a laugh.
Yeah.
And the one that I chose was How to Train Your Dragon.
Give me 1 second, David. I need to get something real quick. I just realized I probably should write this down just so we're doing this for our records. Okay. Yeah, we have records. I'll bury them one day and we'll see if anyone cares enough to find them. Let's see. Okay. You may continue.
So, on my list is How to Train Your Dragon. I love this trilogy. It's for sure a trilogy. And I think as much as I enjoyed the second and third ones, I think the first one is the best one out of all of them. It's almost a perfect movie for me. The music is so beautiful. The introduction of the movie. I remember you guys talking about Nightmare Before Christmas, and you thought that the beginning song is like one of the best openings to a movie. How to Train Your Dragon is, for me, one of the best openings to a movie. You get like an instant story of what the world is, what they do, how many dragons there are, and the music in it. The music in it tells a story too, and it's awesome. The characters themselves are really funny, and I love Hiccup. That story of him just trying to prove himself to his dad, but not being like the manliest man that he wants his dad to be, but just being who he is, and that is a dragon rider instead of a Viking. Right.
It's fascinating when you think about all the trilogies that we got in this decade. It's interesting how this series like perfectly spaced out their time in terms of like every 5 years.
Yeah.
So it's like the first movie was 2010, the second movie was 2014, and then the last movie was just in time for the end of the decade, 2019. It's like think about 10 years, man, that spans this trilogy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Okay, so 20.
Well, actually, we should. I want to, if I may, I want to throw out some movies out there from this year. Let me see here, and this is maybe I'll balance them out with like picking out some movies that weren't necessarily great from this year. So I think the one that everyone knows is The Last Airbender, which I think your sister only just revisited. What was her reaction to watching that again?
Oh, I mean, she hated it watching it the first time, and she couldn't remember much. So she rewatched it, and today she was just telling me everything that she hated about it. She thought it was...
It made her pissed, didn't it?
Yes, I mean, if you're a huge fan of The Last Airbender, everyone is pissed off at the movie.
I mean, of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and then you're right. No, it was just about the worst way you can do, like, any kind of adaptation from the show, and it's like any of the changes that happened in this movie were stupid in nature. But then the way they go about doing those were just about the worst way possible. It always amazes me how movies can do this, how they can just do everything wrong. Like, literally, this movie did everything wrong.
Yes.
Like, my gosh. Everything.
It was horribly miscast. The way they present, like, bending styles, like the fighting styles and all that, it was horrible. The mispronunciations of some names, like
again,
Aang
stupid changes for the sake of just changing something. It doesn't even mean anything. It's just dumb and it irritates people. Like, come on, how do you not see that coming?
Mm-hmm. The only like change that I like from the movie, but it was still horribly done, was at the end when Aang bends that giant wave to stop the army. I don't know if you remember that at all.
Right,
but
I do.
Like, I thought it was just a cool little change. I mean, it would have been cool to see that giant fish thing, but the way was cool. The only thing that was bad about it is the way that he went about bending it. Because usually you see like a repeat of movements, and that's how they like keep it steady. Like, but with this one, though, it was just a bunch of dancing around. And it was weird.
And The Last Airbender, and this is why it was such a kick in the balls. It was, I've always said that there was so much potential for that franchise to be like as big as Pirates of the Caribbean in terms of like its international appeal. Like, I always thought like a great way to do these movies, like, honestly, considering how much happens in just 3 seasons of an animated series, like, you can do 6 movies, 9 movies easily. And I might even watch them. Everybody might even watch them if you do them well. Like, considering how amazing the live action Disney movies have been at the box office. Whoa. Did Nickelodeon, Paramount, lose a lot of money by giving this to fucking M. Night Shyamalan? Holy fuck, and I mean, and look, we're gonna get a Netflix live action series, and that's interesting. I'm sure, and Netflix, is known for doing great television shows, but it's still just wow. Just imagine like a 6-movie, 9-movie saga adaptation of this amazing, one of the best television shows ever made. Not even just animated, but one of the best shows ever. Avatar: The Last Airbender. Go watch that. Oh my god, I think it might have even like triggered your sister to go back and watch the series because it was just that bad.
Yeah.
God. And one other thing about 2010, this was the year, this is after Avatar, the year after Avatar, and 3D just blew back up on the screen with Alice in Wonderland, Tim Burton's Alice in Wonderland, which made $1 billion at the box office, which is crazy considering, like, I think everybody hates that movie.
I enjoy it. It's not something I go back to watch, but
still, it was probably more popular than I think maybe the quality would suggest in terms of its appeal, right? Like, it was a surprise. I don't despise the movie by any means. It's not something that I go back and watch, but it was unique. I think that movie in particular was the one that captured that attention.
Yeah.
At a time when $1 billion movies weren't that common, I feel. Now they are. But, or I should say now they were, because we're in a different time now. So 2011.
Yes. My honorable mention is Attack the Block. I don't know if you ever heard of it.
Yes, I know. I know of it. Yeah.
Yeah. I actually saw it last year because I don't know why. For some reason, like a bunch of YouTube channels that I watch, they kept bringing up that movie. And it was like, oh, Attack the Block is the best. It's amazing. Everyone's got to watch it. And I'm kind of like, okay, I got to watch it then. And then as soon as I heard John Boyega was in it, I'm like, okay, I'm going to watch it. Let's see what he does. and I found it really surprising that Jodie Whittaker was in it too.
Oh yeah,
yeah, it was cool. But yeah, no, the John Boyega and all the other characters, they're just like they're just a bunch of punk kids, I guess, and they find out there's an alien invasion going around, and they try to stop it, and it's just a quick little movie, very entertaining, really funny, and yeah, I say go watch it. It's a simple story, very fun. My actual movie for 2011 is Captain America, the first Avenger.
Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum. Yes.
Yes, I love another trilogy that I love. I think the Captain America movies are in my top 5 of the MCU movies.
Mm-hmm. As they should be. As they should be. Peter, go fuck yourself if you listen to this. I'm just a preemptive go fuck yourself. I'm not going to entertain any kind of, deviation from this. Continue. Preach your gospel, David.
Captain America is one of my favorite superheroes. I mean, he's the goodest of good superheroes, I guess you can say. Mm-hmm. And they really captured that in this one. Just how much of a great person he wants to be and knows he can be, and proves it to everyone, basically. Yeah.
No, this film, I think why this movie is so kindly looked back, and to be fair, I think Captain America: The First Avenger, unless you're named Alexis Moreno or Kyle Lira, you do have an appreciation for this movie. And part of the appeal is definitely, as I mentioned before, is that it feels like a movie that's been taken out of like the 1980s. Like, it's just, it's such a throwback. Like, yeah, it takes place in the past, but it feels like an old-fashioned Hollywood blockbuster in the vein of Indiana Jones. Like, this is a movie Spielberg would have made if Marvel was popular. It almost does feel like a Spielberg movie in a lot of ways. I mean, it's John Johnson who directed it, and he's done, work with Lucasfilm and others before. But yes, it's an amazing movie. I have some movies I want to mention from 2011. Here are some movies that I liked from this year. I just recently watched it, but it counts. Steven Spielberg's The Adventures of Tintin. Loved it.
Oh, yeah.
Loved it. Oh my God, I was so surprised how much I liked this movie. It was so much fun. Peter Jackson and Spielberg combo. It was, to me, the true finale of the Indiana Jones franchise. So we'll have it there. We don't even need Indy 5. It's so eye-opening, right? Because when I saw that, I was like, wow, that really explains the problem with Indiana 4 was not Spielberg at all. It was not him. It was George Lucas. But, I mean, that wasn't so much of a surprise, was it? Another movie that I really love, though, is this film is by, James Bobbin, who, it was weird because, like, he directed the Alice Through the Looking Glass movie, which nobody liked, except I think your sister liked it. Peter always jokes how that was the first movie he fell asleep at in a movie theater. was Alice Through the Looking Glass. But James Bobbin before then directed The Muppets from 2011. And this was a screenplay by Jason Segel, who you can tell was very passionate about, this particular franchise. And I had no previous exposure nor nostalgia to these characters whatsoever. I knew of them, had very limited experience. I think honestly, the only experience I might have had with these characters was like a direct-to-DVD movie from the 2000s called The Muppets Wizard of Oz, which was like their reinterpretation of Wizard of Oz with, I think it was with Queen Latifah and Ashanti. It was, one of those old school ones.
Oh, yeah.
But that was it. Not the show, not any of the other classic films. That was all I knew about the Muppets. And so I went to go see this, and I was just swept away by just the zaniness, the magicalness of it. Like, it made me feel nostalgic for characters I kind of had no nostalgia for. And I think that's something special.
Yeah. I'm an Sesame Street fan, so I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I remember the only thing I remember the most of Sesame Street is like I can't remember the name of it, but it's Elmo loses his blankie or something. That one I would rewatch as a kid a bunch of times. And
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, not a Muppets fan. Sorry.
It's fine.
Yeah.
I wasn't either, but when I saw this, because I really do like this and the sequel, Muppets Most Wanted, and it helps that there are musical numbers and the songs. I think the song even won an Oscar. Yeah, Man or a Muppet from this movie won the Oscar for Best Original Song.
Oh, yeah. I know, I'm sure if I watch it, I'll probably be entertained. But
no, the music is great. The music is great, and the Muppets are fun. So I definitely do recommend to watch those movies. Nice. 2011, I love The Help. With Emma Stone, Octavia Spencer, Viola Davis, Jessica Chastain. So many wonderful people in that movie. Yeah, there's so many to mention. I even liked Kung Fu Panda 2. You know, the Kung Fu Panda movies, I think, are some of the best DreamWorks movies. But yeah, and if that was the year that Green Lantern came out with Ryan Gosling. I'm sorry, not Ryan Gosling, Ryan Reynolds. I even had it. I knew who I had the actor's image in my mind, and then I still said Gosling. that should say something.
Yeah. No, that was disappointing.
That was the Last Airbender of 2011.
Yes,
that was a big disaster. That was honestly, and I'm not even sure Green Lantern is anywhere near as bad as Last Airbender, but it's still bad. And
I would say Last Airbender is probably worse.
Of course. But this one was, yikes. You just gotta ask yourself, what were people thinking who were working on this movie? So yeah, that definitely takes the cake that year. So with that, let's move on to 2012.
Yes. My honorable mention is Rise of the Guardians.
Whoa, I remember this movie. I remember not watching it, but I remember the title of this movie. Okay.
Yes. I love the concept of it. Just all of the holiday what would you call them?
Elves?
No, just the
holiday aesthetic.
No, it's the holiday characters like Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, the Tooth Fairy. I love the concept of them teaming up, stopping all darkness, bad people, keeping the world safe, or at least keeping the children safe. It was a cool concept, and I really like all the characters too.
Do you know who did this movie? Was it DreamWorks?
It was DreamWorks, yeah. I've
been
choosing a lot of DreamWorks. Yeah, but DreamWorks did this. I don't know if people liked it or not, but it's a great movie. Some pretty cool action stuff, and I like the main character Jack Frost, who nobody believes in him towards the end. Spoilers. Everyone starts believing in him, and sort of what he brings to the children is just fun, really, just to have fun, play, be kids. It's a wonderful movie. So on my list, I chose End of Watch.
Oh,
yeah, this one.
Who's in this movie?
This one has Jake Gyllenhaal and Michael Pena. They both play cops, and it's a found
Is this
footage.
Michael Bay?
I don't think it's Michael Bay. No,
I'm thinking of Pain and Gain. That's a Mark Wahlberg movie. Sorry.
Yeah. David Ayer.
David Ayer did this movie, did he?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Yeah.
That's curious. What happened? Because he went from this to Fury, and Fury was with I think Brad Pitt and Shia LaBeouf and other movies, and I remember in the early years of of BNC, I think Peter was really propping up David Ayer as somebody who would make Suicide Squad a great film because he made good movies with Fury, and I'm guessing also End of Watch. Mm-hmm. It's too bad it ended the way it ended, but hey, End of Watch. So why this movie?
It was just super entertaining. Jake Gyllenhaal and Michael Pena, they worked very well together. He really believed them to be brothers. I mean, they weren't actual brothers, but man at arms, I guess, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole found footage aspect really brought out suspense in the movie towards the end of it, and it doesn't end well. Not like in the it was disappointing, but sad ending.
Right.
And it really built up to that, and it was really good. There's a lot of cussing in this movie, though. If you don't like that, you might have a problem here. Oh my god, it was so much, dude. Even I was kind of like, you can calm it down.
Yeah.
Oh man, but yeah, and I actually kind of like found footage type of movies. I remember which one is it?
Cloverfield.
Cloverfield, yeah, that one's entertaining. As Above, So Below. That one's like.
There's Chronicle, I think, right? That's another found footage movie.
Yes, I love that one too. I think As Above, So Below is one of my favorite horror movies. It was really entertaining.
By the way, for listeners, if you need something to watch, get a pen and paper and write a lot of these movies down. They're actually pretty good.
Yes.
I've got some movies from this year. I'll start with the good. Wreck-It Ralph came out this year.
Oh yeah.
We have Argo, which I really liked, with Ben Affleck directing it. This is what he won for. I think this one won Best Picture. Looper from Rian Johnson. Silver Linings Playbook by David O. Russell. Prometheus, Ridley Scott. This is controversial. This Prometheus movie. And I'll leave it there because there's a lot to even get into. And of course, Yeah.
I haven't seen that one yet, but I know the controversy.
Yeah. And then, of course, Phil Lord and Chris Miller. Hey, we know them. 21 Jump Street with Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum. One of the best comedies, I feel, of the decade. I know your sister didn't like those movies. She didn't say why, but I really do love them. So I count more than she does, clearly. I'm kidding, of course. And then there were some movies that, well... What can you say? There was The Hobbit, the first Hobbit movie. Did you see that movie? I
did. It was fine.
Yeah.
People consider that the Last Airbender of 2012.
Oh, I mean, there's some other contenders for that though. So yeah, it was okay. I actually really did like Lord of the Rings, the first 3 movies. I don't remember them at all, but I did like the movies. I thought they were great films. Yeah. These Hobbit movies, I felt so bad for what's his name, Martin Freeman, who plays the Hobbit. Like, oh my god, I mean, they just felt. You know how people really get on like TV shows that have filler episodes? This is what this felt. Like filler episodes of a TV show.
Perfect explanation of it, actually.
Yeah. Filler in the sense that almost nothing interesting happens.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's another controversial one. Some good, some bad. The Dark Knight Rises by Christopher Nolan. This was considered to be a massive disappointment on the heels of The Dark Knight, which I think we can all agree it's nowhere near the movie The Dark Knight was. But I don't hate this movie. And
Same.
That being said, I don't remember much of it now because it's been such a long time, but whenever I'd see this I wouldn't be like upset. So
I just remember that big fight in the end with all the cops versus Bane's army. Thought that was a pretty cool thing, but
yeah. Yeah. And the one that I just loathe entirely. This was the year that introduced. This is, I think, that crystallized Sony's collapse. They've come back in recent years, but holy crap, The Amazing Spider-Man. I hate this movie. I think this is the Last Airbender of this year. Like, no question. I hate everything about it. The only thing that I think I like is Emma Stone, but that's because she's Emma Stone.
Yeah.
But like no, I don't like this. This would be the worst Spider-Man movie, but we still have to get to that one yet.
Yeah.
But it's just it was no bueno, as Peter says. That's just how I see it. But yeah, that's 2012.
Yeah.
2013.
My honorable mention. This might be a surprise, but I'm choosing The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
That is an interesting one. I haven't seen that movie, but I know that Kyle has seen it years ago, and he really liked this. This is with Ben Stiller, right?
Yes.
The Secret Life of Walter Mitty. So, why this one?
So it's about so Ben Stiller. Okay, yeah. So Ben Stiller, he works for a magazine. He looks at photos, tells them, "Put this one in the magazine," and all that. But one of the things about his character is that he's always like daydreaming. He's always coming up with scenarios in his head to kind of like better his life, but he just stays there. And then at one point, he has to find this picture to put in the last, to put in the magazine, which is going to be like the last one he's going to pick because everyone was getting fired.
Mm-hmm.
And he just goes on this great adventure to find a photographer to help him find the last photo. And it kind of hit me, this movie, because all my life in school, even now, I daydream a lot. I'm always in my head, just coming up with weird scenarios, usually thinking about comic books, video games, and all that. And so to just kind of see this character, he uses it to kind of help himself take a leap of faith and go on this great adventure. It really touched me.
Okay. I wish I could have more to say, but I hadn't seen this one. So you're definitely picking movies even I haven't seen. So, all right.
And my actual movie is Snowpiercer.
Oh.
Yes.
I had this one on my honorable mention.
Oh, yeah, you did?
Yeah. Snowpiercer.
I mean, it's Bong Joon-ho. He hasn't disappointed me at all.
No, he just won the Oscar for Best Director.
Yes.
And Best Picture. And Best Screenplay. And Best International Movie with Parasite. So, yeah, this is a great movie. And this one actually, for those of you who have issues with reading subtitles, this is mainly in English.
Yes. Which is great. Yeah, I like the story of it. The world basically over, and there's an uprising in this train. I'm probably not explaining the story greatly.
Well,
but
it's just you don't really have to. All you got to say is that this is one of the most inventive movies out there.
Yes.
Just with its the concept is pretty great. Like the world is over and the surviving people are on this high-speed rail train that has to keep going around the world, otherwise they all die, and that's it. Because, climate change fucked up the planet. And inside this train, there is this, dystopian, very much almost kind of like Evil Empire, but more dystopian than that aspect to it. It is, without question, one of the most... just one of the best movies of the whole decade. It really was.
Yeah.
If you're a fan of science fiction movies, you have to watch this. You have to watch this movie. If you're a fan of Chris Evans, you have to watch this movie. This may be his best performance, easily maybe, of his career.
Yes,
in Snowpiercer.
Yeah, I was gonna mention that this is probably one of my favorite performances of his.
It breaks you, and oh my god, you kind of don't even know, honestly, what this actor is capable of until you've seen this performance. And also has great cast. One of the final movies from John Hurt, who's most known for he's I think from Alien, and then we know John Hurt as the War Doctor from Doctor Who for us Whovians. So what an amazing actor. Has Ed Harris, Octavia Spencer, Tilda Swinton has a great role here. So yeah.
And the movie is going to become a TV show on TNT. I don't know if you heard of that.
And they've been talking about that for years.
Yeah, and I kind of like the guy that's playing Chris Evans' character. He's pretty cool. I think I could be wrong.
So they recast. It's the same characters, but they just recast.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's the guy that was in Kimmy Schmidt's Unbreakable. He was really good to change. I'm hoping it's
Unbreakable
the same guy.
Kimmy Schmidt.
Yeah, or whatever.
Sorry, that was tongue twister.
Yeah.
I want to mention Jamie Bell is also in this movie. Jamie Bell, who was just recently in Rocket Man, playing Bernie Taupin, which was Elton John's songwriting partner. And then Jamie Bell, who did the voice for Tintin, is also in this movie. I think he plays the younger brother. And then also Song Kang-ho, who just did an amazing performance as Mr. Kim, as they call him in Parasite. He was the father of our protagonistic family here, and also who was the chauffeur throughout the movie, who many thought he deserved a nomination for Best Supporting Actor, me among them. So great group of people in this film. And you just kind of have to watch the movie.
Yeah.
Go fucking watch it. Turn this off and go watch it. It's that good.
It's that good.
2013 also had some other movies that I want to mention real quick, and this could be real quick from films that I liked. Again, that weren't necessarily mentioned in the other show. Iron Man 3 by Shane Black. I really like this movie. I really love the Mandarin twist. And that may just come from like me just appreciating how much of a fuck you that was to a lot of people. But I loved what's his name? I loved Ben Kingsley and Trevor Slattery. That was such a fun character. Yeah, like it's just a fun movie. I think Shane Black really just like, this was at a time when I think Kevin Feige was like letting certain directors just do whatever they wanted. And unfortunately the backlash may have like made him more anal about certain things. So there's that. There's also The Heat by Paul Feig. This is with Melissa McCarthy and Sandra Bullock.
Oh, yeah.
This is one of my favorite comedies. Love it, love it, love it. There's also Prisoners by Denny Villeneuve. This is with Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal. That movie makes you want to like swallow, I don't know, a drill. Like one of the, because oh my god, it makes you feel awful, but it's an amazing movie. There's also Gravity by Alfonso Cuarón. It's just, I always love this movie just because of the like. I don't think there's been any other movie that made you feel like you were in space, and I think it's most realistic depiction because it is a horror to be in space. It really is. And yeah, apparently some people had issues with it making them dizzy. I didn't have that issue whatsoever. There was Captain Phillips, directed by Paul Greengrass and starring Tom Hanks and Bakar Abdi. A lot of great movies this year. There was Her, which was written and directed by Spike Jonze. This is with Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson as the voice. A performance so good, people were talking about giving ScarJo a Best Supporting Actress nomination for just doing a voice. That's how much, how good it was. Is also for all Whovians out there, An Adventure in Time, in Space and Time with David Bradley as William Hartnell, the First Doctor. This was a movie basically kind of like how Doctor Who began, airing. Yes. It's also the year that The Day of the Doctor was, because it was the 50th anniversary of Doctor Who.
I keep watching that clip of at the ending where they save Gallifrey. I just keep watching it over and over. It's such an amazing scene.
It's amazing. And also, I think to me, underrated in the sense that not many discuss this, but it is without question the best of this franchise, The Hunger Games: Catching Fire. That movie was so good, and one of the few instances in which I actually read the book before watching the movie, and it surpassed my expectations for what the movie could be, considering I was a big fan of that book. So I loved it.
That's cool. That's the only one I haven't watched. I watched.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Wait.
The other,
you're talking about part 1 or part 2?
Part 2, Catching Fire.
That's the only one I haven't watched. I watched the rest of them, but this is the only one I can't get myself.
Part.
Yeah,
that was it. God. And then as far as like what movies were bad this year, or movies that the worst movie in all of existence is Metallica Through the Never. Fuck you, Kyle, and fuck that movie. Never again. I'm never watching that ever again. I wanted to kill myself. And then this one's, I recognize now that it is divisive. And it is without question not the worst Zack Snyder movie this decade. So there's that, but Man of Steel was really, really divisive. I watched it initially, and I was entertained.
Yeah, same.
That was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah, it was just entertaining. I'm sad about what's his name?
Henry Cavill.
He
really got, oh my God, screwed over in so many ways.
There was so much potential with him, but oh well.
And it was thrown out the window entirely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would think, Peter's the one that really hates this movie. But I think this is a better movie than, let's see, the other Zack Snyder films that we got from him. So there's 2013. So 2014.
Yes. My honorable mention is What We Do in the Shadows.
Woo!
Yes.
Woo. This is great. Yeah.
Oh my God, Taika Waititi and the whole cast really were just hilarious in this. Really, literally the first scene I started laughing so much. And I mean, I think they said like this movie was like really improvised, but he really built out a great world in this. I've been wanting to watch the show on FX.
It just premiered, didn't it?
I think the second season premiered or something.
It's been really already a second season?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's cool. But I want to watch it. It looks good. I've been hearing good things about it. But yeah, this is one of the most hilarious movies I've ever seen. So go watch it. As for my actual movie, I chose Nightcrawler.
Whoa, I love these picks. I would would have guessed. And this one's good.
Yeah,
this one's good. Yeah.
Jake Gyllenhaal, honestly, he's the scariest person I've ever seen in this movie.
Yeah.
Like just how much he doesn't care about anyone or like what he does.
I'll do you better. He doesn't care about humanity. He doesn't care about human life. And not to spoil anything, but there is a moment in this movie where this character witnesses somebody literally dying, and he capitalizes that moment. He seizes on that moment for personal gain, without even without even blinking. I think this is also one of the first movies with Riz Ahmed, who went on to play the pilot in Rogue One. And also was in the Venom movie, I think.
He was in this. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember who he is. Oh wow. Yeah, his character. Oh my gosh. Tragic. But wow.
Yeah. That was real messed up. And Rene Russo, who played Frigga in the Thor movies, is in this movie and does really well.
Yeah, I get this. Jake Gyllenhaal, scariest person I've ever seen in the movie, and I love the ending. You're kind of, for me at least, I'm kind of happy, like where he got, because I mean, even though it's the most evilest thing he's ever done, he still kind of earned it, like his way to the top. Yeah. But it's also just kind of like, oh God, you're gonna like destroy the world, aren't you?
I mean, it's disturbing because he is a sociopath. Yeah. And he wins. And so, I mean, inherently there's going to be a little bit of a mixed feeling there. I remember talk, like real talk from like diehard like film fans that Jake Gyllenhaal should have gotten the Best Actor nomination for this performance.
Oh, for sure.
And that didn't happen, obviously. But,
yeah. Yeah. But 2014 though, it's a great year in movies. I think you guys like listed everything that came out, huh?
Not necessarily. I have some right here. So, with 2014, no, I'll say this about 2014. It was up until 2019. 2014 was my favorite year in movies ever. Like my favorite. So I'll list off here just in general films that I thought were great that year. Whiplash, with Damien Chazelle and Miles Teller and J.K. Simmons. You also have Life Itself, the documentary for Roger Ebert. Boyhood, which was by Richard Linklater and stars L.R. Coltrane. The Lego Movie by Lord and Miller was out that year. The Grand Budapest Hotel by Wes Anderson. It had Tony Revolori and Ralph Fiennes. There was Chef by Jon Favreau. Yes. Even some of the comedies like Neighbors with Zac Efron and Seth Rogen. Captain America: The Winter Soldier by Joe and Anthony Russo. All hail them. There's also Muppets Most Wanted. James Bobbin came back for Muppets Most Wanted. I did not know that. Okay. That was actually pretty good. Pretty good sequel. X-Men Days of Future Past, which is, I think, really the real series finale of the X-Men, yes. Of the original X-Men trilogy, right? Like, that's the one, that's your end game of that franchise. And it has time travel, too.
Logan.
Logan is the ending of Logan. Okay. And also Professor X. But, like, I think for the original X-Men trilogy, this is like your real closure, I think. Okay. Like your final maybe installment, and then Logan can be like the official epilogue where it all went to shit. How to Train Your Dragon 2. There's Edge of Tomorrow with Emily Blunt and Tom Cruise. Really, really good movie.
Yes.
22 Jump Street with Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill. Lord Miller again on fire. Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, which was my introduction to Matt Reeves, who's directing the upcoming Batman movie. Whoa. That movie like turned some heads, like how good that was. Guardians of the Galaxy by James Gunn. There was Alejandro González Iñárritu with Birdman, which featured Michael Keaton. As you mentioned, Nightcrawler. There was The Imitation Game with Benedict Cumberbatch.
Yes.
There was Gone Girl. Look at these movies, man. Gone Girl by David Fincher, which featured a scene-stealing performance by Rosamund Pike and then also Ben Affleck. The Theory of Everything with Eddie Redmayne, who won his Oscar, and then of course Felicity Jones. There was even The Judge, which wasn't all that well liked, but I liked that movie a lot, with Robert Downey Jr. and what's his name? There is Robert Duvall. And Interstellar by Christopher Nolan. Oh my god, this is a long fucking list. Yeah. The first John Wick movie, Selma by Ava DuVernay with and by David Oyelowo, who this one should have also been a Best Acting nomination that didn't get anywhere near. That was a lot of movies.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to look for one that was bad, like really bad. Oh, there was. I found it. I found it. I know your sister and I hate Into the Woods.
Oh, yes.
I hate that movie. It was just garbage. It was bad. Like, honestly, it was a pathetic, dare I even say abysmal decade for Disney live action movies. Like, holy, not all of them were bad, but like shit, it was terrible.
Yeah.
And the single worst Spider-Man ever made, The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I hate this movie so much. I could yell in your ear for days how bad this is. Like, honestly, and if you're a Spider-Man fan, and I'm talking about just beyond the superficial, and believe me, there's plenty of matter there to criticize, but it's like The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is it's the poster child, I think, of the decade for how not to handle your franchise. It was so bad. Literally, Sony was like forced to get on their knees and crawl to Marvel for help. That's how bad things were.
Oh yeah.
There was like so many movies that were being planned that were canceled and the movie didn't bomb. It was a box office hit, but I think Sony recognized that aside from it, just the dollars, creatively, it was just, I mean, I think unsatisfactory is putting it mildly. People, yeah. And it's aged hard. It's aged horribly. And I think your sister hates, she really hates fucking Maleficent, which also came out this year.
I still like it, but whatever.
I know you do. I just think it's hilarious because I think that, what comes to my head when we did a Once Upon a Retrospect on Sleeping Beauty on Fantasy Fair a few years back, and we were talking about Maleficent, and I keep thinking how disgusted and like off-put your sister was by basically the rape allegory scene where she gets her wings like taken off.
Yeah.
And I just keep laughing because like she was revolted by that, and I could hear it in her voice. Like, why would you do that? It was weird.
Yeah.
2014.
Okay.
Great year. Great fucking year.
Oh yeah.
So 2015.
2015. My honorable mention is The Invitation.
Never heard of this.
Oh, it's on Netflix. I so recommend it. So this guy, he gets invited to a party, but the party is hosted by his ex-wife, and he's going there with his new, I don't know if it was his girlfriend or new wife or something. But they go in. I don't want to spoil much because like it's the ending is insane. But he goes there and he just knows there's something off. Like, what is happening? Basically, kind of seeing his ex-wife and just going, "Who are you?" Boy! It's just so suspenseful, and I don't know if you'll see the ending coming. But
I have it right here. Just because I want to read the real quick. Just people know The Invitation, directed by Karen Kusama, 2015. Will and his new girlfriend Kira are invited to a dinner with old friends at the house of Will's ex Eden and her new partner David. Although the evening appears to be relaxed, Will soon gets a creeping suspicion that their charming host David is up to something. Oh boy.
Yeah.
That sounds creepy and scary.
I mean, it's just suspenseful. The thing like pops out or anything like that. It's just it's just insane. I think you guys will love it. Oh my gosh. Mm-hmm. But my actual movie is Creed.
Whoa, this one! I'm surprised no one really brought this one up in 2015.
Yeah,
because this one is a really popular movie.
Mm-hmm. No, like I said, it's one of my favorite movies ever. Michael Jordan, he's amazing in it, and also just love the concept. Michael B. Jordan. Sorry.
Yeah, gotta be careful with that.
Yes, it's hilarious. But he's amazing in it, and I just love the concept of it. Just why don't we make another Rocky movie, but with Creed's son? It sounds so fan fiction, and it works so well in the end. And yeah, it's just one of my favorite Rocky movies, I guess.
For 2015, which was also another banner year, you could say.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you had Force Awakens by J.J. Abrams, a good J.J. Abrams movie for a change. You have The Hateful Eight by Quentin Tarantino. I liked Spectre by Sam Mendes, the James Bond movie, and Peter liked Spectre too. We're not James Bond fans, but I don't understand why people hated that movie so much. Like, they hated it, and I'm like, okay. Bridge of Spies by Steven Spielberg. The Walk by Robert Zemeckis. I think that one is really underrated. I really love the whole sequence when they're trying to like... It's this guy where... This is a real story where this Frenchman, like trapeze person, literally infiltrates the Twin Towers so he can put a tightrope between them and walk over it. It's amazing. Yeah. It really was. So, The Martian by Ridley Scott. Of course, we mentioned Spotlight. Steve Jobs, which was directed by Danny Boyle and was a script by, what's his name, Aaron Sorkin. Michael Fassbender is great in this movie. Kate Winslet was also, I think she won a Golden Globe for her supporting actress in this film. Quickly mentioned Tom Hanks was in Bridge of Spies, and of course, Joseph Gordon-Levitt was in The Walk. So, want to mention the actors too. Straight Outta Compton was this year.
Great movie.
This was really good. This was by F. Gary Gray. In this feature, this is the biopic on NWA, right?
Mm-hmm.
NWA. Hold on, I just want to make sure. Yeah, I wanted to make sure I had the name right. And it featured O'Shea Jackson Jr. as Ice Cube. That's Ice Cube's son playing Ice Cube. So go figure. Yeah. And we also had Mad Max Fury Road, George Miller. Everybody knows how great that is. Spy, the last of the Melissa McCarthy trilogy with Paul Feig. The Cinderella live action remake by Kenneth Branagh. and SpongeBob SquarePants movie, Sponge Out of Water, which I actually really liked, surprisingly enough.
Yeah.
There's only one movie I see here that's really just atrocious, and that's by the Wachowski sisters, Jupiter Ascending. That horrible movie with Channing Tatum, Mila Kunis, and Eddie Redmayne playing the worst villain you could ever imagine. I probably sound more interesting than he did. Like, it was bad.
Seen it? I haven't seen it, but I know everyone hates it, so
it's bad. I mean, just bad. Like, honestly, this was, for however great science fiction was this decade, this is this is what gives science fiction among general audiences a bad name. That and that other movie called Valerian and the City of a Thousand Planets. Those movies.
That one, I hated the characters and the dialogue in that movie,
right?
But the setting of it, some of the CGI, I thought it looked awesome.
But that's really the worst, though. Like when the setting is so great, but then everything else around it sucks. It brings the whole thing down. It's like, it's movies like those that just turn audiences off of them because it's like, well, I mean, yeah, all that stuff is cool and all, but if you're going to give me shitty characters, a horrible script, and bad acting, and let's be real, as far as Jupiter Ascending is concerned, that was some horrible acting going on there. No thank you. So yeah, that's 2015. Shall we move on to 2016?
Yes. This one was actually really hard for me, man.
Wow.
Because there are some great movies. I mean, I'm sure we'll get to them, but I chose, my honorable mention is Train to Busan.
What?
Train to Busan.
Train to Busan? I never heard of this movie.
Are you
What's
serious?
it about?
Really? Yeah. Oh my god, dude. Like, everyone loved this movie. It's a zombie apocalypse movie that takes place. I'm not sure if it's like in Japan.
Oh, that's why. Okay. I avoid those movies. At least I did. I actively avoided those movies back then.
Okay, yeah. There's a zombie apocalypse taking place in Korea, and this man's trying to get his daughter to a train to get out of, to go to another town where I think his ex-wife lives. Just trying to get the whole family back together. And I mean, it's intense. It's one of the best zombie apocalypse movies I think that I've seen. And it's getting a sequel.
Is it?
Yes.
Okay.
I haven't seen the trailer yet, but I know there's a sequel in there, and everyone's excited. But yeah, I think you'll like it. It's not super gory or anything, and the characters are really, really great. The main guy and also the other ones that you meet. You know, they're really. It doesn't do that whole turning against each other type of thing. Like, they know, hey, we gotta get these people out. Let's work together, and like they just get straight to it, straight to the action of it. You know, it's really great. For my actual movie, I decided to choose. It's Your Name. It is an animated movie by I'm gonna mess up this name, Makoto Shinkai. If you've heard of it, you probably know that it's it's beautifully animated, this movie. And it's also, the concept is these two high schoolers, for some reason they keep switching bodies, and they find a way to communicate to each other, and they try to find each other at some point, and it's just this crazy mess of like, why is this happening to us? And kind of them trying to figure out how, why, and they sort of just kind of learn. They sort of start falling for each other and learn like things about life. I don't know how to explain it.
Well, I have it right here. This is Your Name. This is a Japanese anime movie. It is anime or just animated?
Anime, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess all Japanese animated would be considered anime, I feel. It looks like that way. High schoolers Mitsuya and Taki are complete strangers living separate lives, but one night they suddenly switch places. Mitsuya wakes up in Taki's body and he in hers, and this bizarre occurrence continues to happen randomly, and the two must adjust their lives around each other. That sounds great, and it looks beautiful too. This is directed by Makoto Shinkai. I don't know if that's a correct pronunciation.
Yeah.
But it sounds like it is, so I'm going to go with it.
Yeah. No. Again, it's a beautiful animated movie. It's a great story. Highly recommend.
Man, I really wish I've seen these. Maybe we could have like a back and forth, but like you're bringing up movies that I just never even heard of. Mm-hmm. But that's great. Hold on, there's a fucking plane going by. Just, can you believe the amount of intrusions I have? And this fucking mic picks everything up. Okay, so other movies from this year. Let's start with the good. I don't know. People might give this movie a hard time. I really liked Kung Fu Panda 3.
Oh yeah, I love the Kung Fu Panda trilogy.
And to me, I think this movie did the best in terms of the relationship between Po and his father, mm-hmm. which gave, I think, James Hong the most to do in these movies. And I love James Hong. If you know James Hong, like, you know him from everywhere. Like, you know that voice when you recognize James Hong. So, and a great finale, I think, to the trilogy of Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah, I mean, as much as I love the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, mm-hmm. I think Kung Fu Panda is a better trilogy in terms of storytelling. Yeah, I just like How to Train Your Dragon because of the music. I think the music is better. I love how the dragons look and the character designs. So,
yeah, I mean, it almost makes me wish that people, gave DreamWorks more credit, because they kind of do better. If you look at it, and again, not to throw some shade here, but they kind of, more so than anybody else, I think they do the best animated sequels. Mm-hmm. Like, in general.
Yeah, for sure.
Like the Dragon trilogy and the Kung Fu Panda trilogy. And those were, I think, concluded on much better terms than Shrek did, which was like their cash cow earlier in the 2000s. Because it was Shrek and Shrek 2, but then the third Shrek and the fourth Shrek weren't really all that well received.
Yeah.
But yeah. Deadpool by Tim Miller and Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool. This was an experience. I think this is actually one of the ones this is one of the first movies I think you and I saw together with Alexis and Kyle and Peter. Because I remember that when we walked out of Deadpool, we did an After Dark, and you were in the front seat, I think. Because if you go back on the YouTube channel, our feed anyway, you see, we might have been in your car, actually, and you might have been driving. Or maybe it was Alexis. But yeah, remember. This was the first After Dark you were in.
Wow.
It actually might have been the first anything you were in. So
maybe
that was your debut for Red Spotlight Entertainment. There's Zootopia by Byron Howard and Rich Moore, with Jennifer Goodwin and Jason Bateman as Judy Hopps and Nick. I need to go back and watch that. I really love that movie, and it was such a surprise. There was, of course, Captain America: Civil War. There was The Nice Guys with Ryan Gosling and Russell Crowe by Shane Black. Star Trek Beyond, which was not by J.J. Abrams, and it was good. Go figure. This was with Justin Lin. I really did like this one. Arrival by Denny Villeneuve. There was La La Land. Hacksaw Ridge by Mel Gibson. Controversial, but very good film. Oh, yeah. Moonlight, which won Best Picture. Very good movie right there. The Edge of 17, I loved it, with Haley Steinfeld and Woody Harrelson. Split, M. Night Shyamalan making a good movie. Wow. That was good. That was with also, I believe it was James McAvoy, who did the character there. Moana, which everyone knows. Rogue One. And this is a really underrated, I think, treasure from Martin Scorsese, Silence, which featured Andrew Garfield and Adam Driver and Liam Neeson. To me, I've always said this when I saw the movie, this is Martin Scorsese's Schindler's List. And it is very much as hard to watch. Yeah, there were some controversial movies this year. Fantastic Beasts. I liked the first Fantastic Beasts.
Same. I really liked it, especially the ending.
Yeah, like I think as a standalone, it worked really well. I think ultimately everyone, at least on this channel, is on the same page in saying that they really miscalculated what those movies should be. Like the Fantastic Beasts movies, I think would be really fun like one-off movies, and they shouldn't have been maybe, you know, glued to the whole Grindelwald storyline, because in the sequel it seems like the whole concept of Fantastic Beasts was just abandoned and it was just Grindelwald war stuff. And I never saw Grindelwald. Maybe I will. But as far as like the first movie, I really enjoyed the first movie. It made me want to see more Wizarding World movies, believe it or not. Like it really did. So I think like they can still make more of these if they just do like one-offs, but like they have a problem, and her name is J.K. Rowling, and they give her too much power. They honestly do. So.
Oh yeah.
Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad. Oh my God, this one was this was a beauty. Oh boy. Yeah, me no likey.
Yeah.
And Batman v Superman, which I don't know what to say.
Can I name one movie?
Yes.
It's called Colossal. Have you heard of it?
No.
It has Anne Hathaway, Jason Sudeikis, Tim Blake Nelson, Dan Stevens, some more people. But it's about Anne Hathaway. She goes back to this small town. Her life's not going great. And all of a sudden
Join the club, girl.
And all of a sudden she realizes that a monster that pops out in basically on the other side of the world, and she's able to control it. She figures that out, and it's weird and all that. But the movie itself is about letting go of basically letting go of your demons, hence the monster there and all that, but also getting away from abusive relationships. Right. It's a really interesting movie. I highly recommend it. And actually, Jason Sudeikis, like he's pretty scary in this movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, it was crazy. I really liked him in this. Also, Hush. I didn't see the whole movie, but it's about this woman, this deaf woman. She finds out that there's this man right outside her home trying to break in. And so it's just this fight for her survival, basically. I actually didn't see the whole thing, but I saw the ending, and it was great. But I'm sure the lead up to it is pretty interesting. So,
another movie this year that was not the worst, but it wasn't great, and it kind of began. It was the beginning of the end for the X-Men Apocalypse.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 2016. Let's move on to the year that was 2017.
Yes. My honorable mention is The Florida Project.
Wow, David, you're really surprising me here. Wow.
Yeah. It is about this 6-year-old girl living in this hotel with some of her friends, and it's just their daily life. They're trying to entertain themselves, and
like right now,
yeah,
like all of us right now,
basically. I mean, but like that little girl, all three kids, like they steal the fucking show. They're so great in this, and it's really good. My only complaint though is the ending. It wasn't bad. But out of everything that they showed, that was the ending was kind of the most unrealistic part. And it kind of turned the movie for me. But it's a minor
you
thing.
and Peter both. He mentioned that he really loved this movie, but he hated the ending.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But again, I highly recommend it. You're just getting the look of the day in the life of these three kids.
And this has William Dafoe in it, right?
William Dafoe in it. I actually want to name the cast.
Out, am I? That's fucking William Dafoe. It's great in this movie.
Yeah, actually, I don't know which ones are the actresses, but go look at it. It's great. My actual movie is Haunters, The Art of Scare.
Haunters.
Yes.
Okay.
What
is this movie? I don't know.
It's a documentary actually, and it's about the history of haunted houses. Not like, actual ghosts haunted houses. I'm talking about like the ones you pay to go in, get scared and all that.
I think someone mentioned this before. Yes.
We actually mentioned it the same time we talked about it with Peter. I think it was it was what we talked about in the 100th episode.
The 100th or the 200th?
The 100th. Remember, we did it. We all went in Ali's room. We had to do it twice. I don't think we actually recorded the conversation, but we talked about it when we were doing it.
If it wasn't part of the recording, I must have not. I mean, I was not physically in the space.
Yeah.
I was nowhere near that area when that happened. Mm-hmm. But okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a documentary about the history of haunted houses. And I found it so entertaining because there is a man there who is clearly a psychopath. And the things that he does, he's literally torturing people in his haunted house, and it's insane that you see people actually like willing to go in. And the guy, he doesn't pay people to go in, or he doesn't make people pay. He just says, bring some dog food and you gotta sign this thing saying that you won't sue. Like, it's insane.
No, you lost me at dog food, pal.
Oh, because he wants to feed his dog. Yeah, he has dogs, so he's just like, you know what? Bring me some dog food. That's your payment. Yeah. Sorry.
I thought he was gonna
do
something weird.
No. My bad. I'm so sorry. No.
My mind went somewhere else.
Yeah. No, I explained it horribly. My bad. No. He tells people to bring some dog food just so he can feed his dogs. Doesn't have to pay for it, But yeah, it's insane what people want to go through, and it's just interesting to look at the history of it and what people are doing nowadays, and really just kind of look into the psychology of people who want to do this for a living, like work in haunted houses.
People are interested in those kind of documentaries. Like, it reminds me of like what's popular right now is Tiger King.
Yes.
That's getting a lot of like talk. Mm-hmm. This sounds like most like that. Just like these weird stories you never would imagine exist.
Yeah. No, just to get you an idea, there's this person there who went to one of the haunted houses, and again, these people are being tortured in this haunted house. And when she comes out of it, she goes, I want to work here. And when they ask her why, you know what she says? She says, I want to I want to scare my friends.
Okay.
It's insane. Oh my gosh. That's why yeah.
Okay. I'll go through some other movies this year. There was The Big Sick with Kumail Nanjiani, and it was one of the best romantic comedies of the decade. Mm-hmm. Maybe one of the only ones. Holly Hunter, Ray Romano, Zoe Curzon. Great film. The Lego Batman movie. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I really love that movie for whatever reason. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
There's John Wick Chapter 2. There's Get Out by Jordan Peele. Call Me By Your Name by Luca Guadagnino with Timothée Chalamet and Armie Hammer. Logan, Baby Driver, The Disaster Artist, Guardians Volume 2, Wonder Woman, Spider-Man Homecoming, The Shape of Water, War for the Planet of the Apes, Lady Bird, 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, It, Blade Runner 2049, I, Tonya, Coco, Thor Ragnarok, The Post, Phantom Thread. I really liked Olaf's Frozen Adventure, so I recommend that to you as well. But there were some films this year that were, So I did not like Alien Covenant.
I haven't seen it.
It was literally too stupid. It was just too stupid. I was positive on this initially, and now again, positive in the sense that it was entertaining, but I just don't care about its existence. Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales.
Yeah.
I don't understand why Disney there's so many things they dropped the ball on, but like, really? You had so much potential with this, and you just threw it away. I mean, more than just 3 movies. You had 6, maybe even 9 movies, a saga in here, and you just like, It was just careless. And then, of course, you have the culmination of Zack Snyder's DC, the Justice League. Yeah. I mean, it's not necessarily the worst, or maybe it might be the worst in some cases because it was a jumbled mess. There was some weird color correction added on here. Yeah, it was just, and it was sad too because this is a fucking Justice League movie, and I remember when this came out in the theaters, and honestly, nobody cared.
Yeah.
Nobody. It's sad.
Yeah.
A Thor movie was kicking its ass. Like, you just imagine, like, what a Justice League movie would have made. Like, it honestly, it was so. This movie came out how many years? This is 2017. Mm-hmm. Imagine if this had come out the year of the Avengers.
Oh my god.
It's just so weird because everybody was saying for years that, well, if you thought Avengers was a big hit, wait till Justice League comes out. Nope.
Yeah.
No. All right. That got sad. All right, 2018.
My honorable mention, shouldn't be a surprise, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. We made it.
We just talked about this. Go listen to our audio commentary.
Yes, we made an entire audio commentary about it, so you should know what I feel about it. But my actual number 1 for 2018, it's Hereditary. Again, not a surprise.
No.
Still one of the scariest movies I've ever seen, and oh my god, it's insane, really.
No, Ari Aster is a fucking psychopath.
Yeah,
I've made up my mind.
Great director.
I've only seen great
director.
I've seen his movies, but never again.
Yeah.
No, it's so hard. Like, part of me wants to go back and revisit them. Part of me was like, I'm not touching those movies with a 10-inch pole. No, thank you. Bye. Just like the imagery is like, ooh, no. No. So yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. I guess I'll mention some other movies from this year. 8th Grade by Bo Burnham. It's a horror movie too. It's a different kind of horror movie. It's about this 13-year-old girl in like middle school, and she's trying to be popular, and she kind of has no friends, and it was kind of like, it was a fucking nightmare. Honestly, like, holy fuck! But it's a great movie. Annihilation with Natalie Portman. This was Alex Garland's follow-up to Ex Machina, which we didn't mention previously, but I love Annihilation. I think it's one of the best science fiction movies I've ever seen. I love it. Love, Simon with Nick Robinson and directed by Greg Berlanti is like the most John Hughes movie we've gotten since John Hughes movies. As far as like the whole high school, it's a really good high school movie, and it's a really great message for LGBTQ kids. Blockers with John Cena and Mike Barinholtz and I believe Leslie Mann. One of the better comedies that I really of the decade. I really appreciated. This is about the story about these 3, like, I want to say single-ish parents that are raising their 3 daughters, and it's hilarity ensues. What do you want? A Quiet Place by John Krasinski. That's right. Jim from The Office made a movie, and it was with his wife, Emily Blunt. This is really good. Mm-hmm. Quiet Place. Game Night, another great comedy. I love the concept. It comes from the writers from Spider-Man Homecoming. This was with Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams. Really great concept. So much fun. I'm trying to avoid some obvious ones here. We had Solo, which was Actually, this is for the other pile. Never mind. I'm going to the good. Deadpool 2. Fuck yes. I love Deadpool 2. David Leitch, Zazie Beetz and Josh Brolin. I really want another Deadpool movie. I really do. Man, I don't know why people just don't like this one more. I really like this one a lot. Black Klansman by Spike Lee. It was really good. I know we had a discussion about, Adam Driver's performance in that movie was especially good. Mission Impossible Fallout with Tom Cruise. That was the only one I've seen.
Same.
It was great, though. It was great. The Other Side of the Wind, which was the unfinished Orson Welles movie, which they finished it up on Netflix. Really great watch, as well as the documentary They'll Love Me When I'm Dead about Orson Welles himself. Roma. First Man was interesting. That was like the first Damien Chazelle movie that I was like so on, but there's some great sequences in it. This is with Ryan Gosling. It's about Armstrong. A Star is Born with Lady Gaga and Bradley Cooper. This is Bradley Cooper's first movie he directed. Really good. I like the new Halloween movie.
Yeah.
Michael Myers is back. Jamie Lee Curtis is great. If Beale Street Could Talk. Yes, go ahead.
I was going to recommend Bandersnatch. I don't know if you remember.
No.
It's like a little Black Mirror spin-off type of thing Netflix was doing, where it's you pick your own adventure type of thing.
Right.
It was I liked it. I enjoyed it. It was a really interesting concept that they started on. I wish they would kind of do more on it. But I mean, highly recommend it. It's on Netflix. They'll let you choose an options of what to do next with the story, and it was pretty entertaining.
Okay. It was one of my favorites. Bad Times at the El Royale. Loved this film. It was a really good documentary on superhero movies. Called Rise of the Superheroes, which I believe you can get on Amazon Prime, which is like there for free. Okay. I mean, Bumblebee was good with Haley Steinfeld. I liked Mary Poppins Returns. Of course, Aquaman was really good too. Movies that weren't that great. The new Predator movie was terrible.
I haven't seen it.
The Incredibles 2 was depressing.
Yeah.
Solo was depressing for other reasons. I mean, it was an okay movie, but it was just depressing for Star Wars. Like, that was the first Star Wars movie where I was like, wow, I feel no sense of magic or wonder. And then Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom.
Yeah.
Like, I felt nothing. I felt absolutely nothing the entire time. It felt like I was watching like a mashup of all the previous Jurassic Park movies on autopilot. Like, no one was trying, nobody cared. J.A. Bayona is a great visual director, but the script by Colin Trevorrow was why? Just like, why? And one of the funniest things that Kyle says is like that the last part of the movie just turned into Scooby-Doo. Oh god. Yeah. So some of these we got some bad movies this decade. So, and we finish it off with grand finale 2019. David, take us away.
Honorable mention, Little Women.
Yeah. Yes.
I mean,
yes.
I've said it a bunch of times. Great casting, great acting. Love the story. Love the family dynamic. And again, it's about these women growing up, kind of separating, but they come together in the end. It's a wonderful story.
Okay.
For my actual movie, I've decided Avengers Endgame.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean,
what a surprise.
Yeah.
Somewhere in the world, Peter Martinez is throwing up.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. Because that makes it... I love it because not only was Avengers Endgame the majority rule of our board here, if you will, the number one movie of 2019. But now, as far as the top 10 of the decade is concerned, we've got 3 people who've now put Avengers Endgame as the number one movie for 2019. Isn't it amazing to be vindicated? So why Avengers Endgame? I mean, duh, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
duh. Like I said,
we did an audio commentary recently on it, so go and listen to that. It was really good.
Yep. I mean, it's not really not much I can say.
No, there really isn't, because of just how much things have changed. I mean, not really. How much we've talked about that movie on end. I mean, other movies from this year: How to Train Your Dragon 3. I loved Late Night, The Farewell, Long Shot, Booksmart, Good Boys, Shazam and Us, Pain and Glory, The Lighthouse, John Wick Chapter 3, Rocket Man, Crawl was good, Ready or Not, Marriage Story, Ford v Ferrari, Hustlers, and we have a whole episode just recently on 2019 specifically, so go listen to that. Dr. Sleep deserves a lot of love. It was great. Yeah, and I really can't think of, well, every time I say that, I look at a movie like, okay, well, that was bad.
The worst movie ever. The Dead Don't Die.
Oh, that's right. That's your worst movie ever. I would go with, well, there's 2 ones that are endlessly frustrating, and that is the live-action remake of The Lion King, which was, to me, the worst movie of the decade. And then you have one that's not much better, and that is The Rise of Skywalker, which we also just did a commentary on. And it's just so sad. Again, every time that movie comes up, we're just reminded of just... I can't bring myself to say anymore. Yeah. I'm just done with that movie. I'm done. You said it was Avengers Endgame, right?
Yep.
Okay. I just want to make sure I got all this. So for 2010, How to Train Your Dragon. 2011, Captain America: The First Avenger. 2012, End of Watch. 2013, Snowpiercer. 2014, Nightcrawler. 2015, Creed. 2016, Your Name. 2017, Haunters. 2018, Hereditary. And 2019, Avengers Endgame. Very interesting list, David. Very interesting group of movies. A lot of these I actually had not come across or have seen. So if you're out there, go and see these movies. I'm sure we've given you plenty and plenty and plenty and then some of things to discuss and go over with it. But yeah. Anything else to say before we wrap up today?
Nah. Just watch those movies.
And listen to our audio commentaries.
Yes.
We got into the Spider-Verse, Rise of Skywalker, Endgame, Knives Out coming at you pretty soon. So, thank you all for listening. Thank you, David, for being here. Loved your list. Loved your time. Reminder to stay in the spotlight. Check out all of our programming. And we will see you, I guess, sometime. I don't know. Bye.
Bye.